When was the last time you were afraid? Really afraid?
Everybody ready?
Ready to rock.
Yep.
Ready! All right, everybody. Welcome to the Heavy Leather Horror Show podcast, your weekly guide to all things horror from the heart of which city? Salem, Massachusetts.
We're so lucky to be young and in love and in Salem.
Yes, we are. Hey, all of us are at least, Stace, one of those things. Young and in love and in Salem. Soon, Kelly will be all of them. Right?
Yeah. Aw. Well, not young,
Nice.
but yeah.
Youngish and in love.
You're
and in Salem.
young. Compared to us, you're young.
I'm your old pal Ken, a.k.a. Rock and Roll Writer Sleaze Grinder, and there she is, everybody at Salem's greatest hauntress. It's Kelly Kapow.
Hey, everyone. Woo.
Let's fucking party!
Thank you. She likes to party and she likes to scare.
Fucking party.
Also with us, our coolest creep, Kate Douglas of Kate's Grim Day Out fame. Also, here he is, everybody. It's Rui, the 16-year-old intern.
Hey, how's it going?
I was a teenage werewolf. Fantastic. Bewildering.
Also producing the show tonight, it's director Stacey Dawn.
No one messes with Stacy and Liz.
Also with us, our most famous friend, Survivor, and horror show assistant director Lerser is here.
Hey!
And she is. Thank you. She's in
Thanks.
She's in her car, waiting to get a tattoo. Right?
They have drive-through tattoo parlors?
Well, no, she's just
Asking for a friend.
and she's getting a horror themed tattoo. Rui, sorry to inform you, that's the new rule now. To be on the Horror Show podcast, you have to get a horror themed tattoo. So,
Hey, it's legal in New Hampshire, so...
Lerser is getting hers today. What are you getting, Lerser? What's going to happen?
I'm getting Frankenstein in
Okay.
like a coffin kind of thing with some flowers.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Wait, a Frankenstein in a coffin with some flowers.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I just let him... We've been coming to this guy for like 3 years, so I just let him do whatever the heck he wants.
Okay.
I don't mind anymore.
That's a dangerous game to play, but if you feel good about it.
It always turns out really good.
Okay.
So.
All right. So there you go. That's the gang, everybody. And it sounds like, Stacey, the bats are in the belfry. Yep. And it sounds like the monsters are chained up down in the dungeon. I feel like, Stacey, perhaps is that the wolves howling as well? And now it sounds like the wind is lashing the house. Wow, that must be...
Could go poorly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
So that must mean it's time for the show. This week and every week, we will have a little horror news. We'll be talking about some horror movies we've seen lately, and we'll be reviewing a film together. This week, it's the Invisible Man remake, starring everybody's favorite, well, somebody's favorites, Elizabeth.
My favorite.
Elizabeth Moss. Certainly Kelly's favorite.
Yeah.
Before we get to all that, though, our friend Kate is what you might call a true crime enthusiast. And she knows so much about murder, and she's always bursting to tell you about it. So let's get right to it. Stace, play it. It's time for the Murder Minute.
I love it. So spooky.
There we
So
go.
ominous. I love to hear it.
Here we go, Kate.
All right. So things have been not great in our country. I mean, for a long time, but they're really at a head right now. So researching murders has been a little fraught. So I wanted kind of like, to find one where maybe I felt less bad about talking about it this week, and I found one. I'm going to tell you about the murder of Jeff Hall. Jeff, who lived in Riverside, California, was the regional leader of the National Socialist Movement in Riverside, which, on the surface, the National Socialist Movement doesn't sound so bad. But actually, it is a hate group. It is one of the leading forces of neo-Nazis in the country. So he was a big old neo-Nazi. He was not a great guy. He hated everyone who wasn't a white man. And was very active, said that he would die for the cause. And on May 1st, 2011, his 10-year-old son, Joseph, took his .357 revolver out of a closet. And while his father, Jeff, was sleeping on the couch at 4 a.m., he shot him directly in the head and killed him. Turns out, in addition to being a neo-Nazi, he was also really abusive. And Joseph was sick of him hitting him and his mom. And he had also allegedly earlier in the day threatened to remove every smoke detector in the house and burn the whole house down with them in it.
Yikes.
So not a nice guy. Bad things happen to not nice people sometimes. The son was, he admitted to doing it after the mother found the body and went to jail for the crimes. But one less neo-Nazi in the world, I guess.
Justified homicide.
Yeah.
Justified homicide is what you're saying then.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
And he was 10 years old, right?
And oh boy.
Hey.
Good for him.
Houston, and earlier that year, Jeff Hall had been bragging to his friends about how he was teaching his son how to use like night vision equipment and guns, and really
Karma's a bitch.
get him.
Wow, that's crazy.
There you go, everybody. That's this week's Murder Minute, Death of a Socialist. Thank you, Kate. Some applause for Kate. She's done it once again. Thank you. She did it. I knew she would.
Thank you.
Always gives us something to think about. All right, everybody. Before we get to the movies, a couple things that I want to talk about. So, listen to this. This is just parenthetical. Found this out yesterday. The human anus is covered by cells similar to those in the mouth. That's why spicy foods burn down there just as much as they do in your mouth.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
But then, isn't it like when we're formed, our anus forms first? Because like there's some animals that like you don't know if it's going to be the anus or the mouth. Like you can't tell under a microscope at first.
Wait, what?
No, this is I feel like I learned this in AP Bio. Like we actually all have like the butt and the mouth are like the same thing when you're a little zygote.
Maybe
Scientist
the human
Kate, everybody.
wasn't so far-fetched after all.
Oh, God. Oh, remember in Society, that movie when the butt turns into a face and is talking?
Yeah.
Unfortunately so.
It was incredible.
There you go. So just keep that in mind. Next time you're eating spicy food and you're going, why am I feeling the same thing on the way out? It's because you got
Or
the
next
same
time... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, or next time you want to make out with someone,
Yeah.
you could make out from the other end.
Right. Hey, a new 4K scan of the original Evil Dead will be playing in drive-in theaters this summer. That's exciting.
Ooh.
Stace, give us some drive-in sounds to remind people what it sounds like when you go to the drive-in. It's so much fun. It's full of...
There you go.
Thank you. There you go. No. Thank you. There's not there's no list yet of which ones, but hopefully it's going to play locally. Maybe at the Kowloon, which is opening. I heard that the drive-in at the Kowloon is opening any day now.
We have to go.
We've said
we'll park next to each other.
We've said it every week, but it has to happen soon.
We want those egg rolls.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And maybe
I actually have a piece of the set from Evil Dead 2. It's a piece of coal that they used during the scene where Ash buries Linda.
Yeah.
Cost $20.
Yeah.
But I have nothing better to spend my money on.
Right.
So
Now you can tell everyone you have it too. That's pretty good for $20.
Yeah.
And he shows it off to people all the time. When I was at his house, he was like, "Hey, do you want to see my rock from Evil Dead?" So it's
I only showed off to people who know what Evil Dead is.
That would be a great way to pick up a partner too. You want to come back to my house and see my Evil Dead rock?
yeah, right. That's got to work
Fair,
sometimes.
Yeah.
The right people, that's definitely going to work.
Sounds like a really weird euphemism, though.
No, he's a child. I didn't mean it like that.
Hey, well, listen to this. Incel. You know what an incel is, right?
Yes.
You've heard of those.
Unfortunately so.
Terrible creatures.
Here's the thing that happened. Incel blows off hand with bomb meant for hot cheerleaders.
Good. I wish he blew off his own fucking head.
This sounds like a plot of a B movie.
23-year-old Virginia man who appeared to be planning an incel bomb attack on hot cheerleaders accidentally blew off his hand with explosives, authorities say. Cole Carini was charged in federal court on Friday in connection with the plot. He allegedly lied to FBI agents by saying his extensive injuries were the result of a lawnmower accident. They didn't believe him. Late Tuesday, Carini went to a medical center near his home in Richlands, Virginia, with one hand missing, several fingers amputated on the other, and shrapnel wounds to his neck and throat. When asked if he remembered what happened to put him in the hospital, authorities wrote in a criminal complaint. Carini told the FBI agents that he was mowing his yard, and the mower flipped over in such a way that it dragged his hands into the blades, and because the blades were spinning so fast, it acted like a bomb.
Wow.
Yeah, like how long ago were.
Yeah,
we've all had that happen.
Wait, so how old was this dude?
23.
So this guy was a grown-ass man trying to kill a bunch of teenage girls?
That's it. But when FBI agents...
Now nobody's going to fuck him, and he has one hand, the piece of shit.
Well, not like that was going to happen beforehand, but...
Beforehand,
good one.
I didn't intend that, but...
Good one, buddy. But when FBI agents searched his home, they found a shocking scene. A trail of blood leading investigators to a bedroom where the blinds had been shredded by shrapnel and the walls and ceilings were covered with blood spatters and chunks of human flesh. Agents also said they discovered explosive chemicals in a box of rusty nails that could be used as shrapnel, among other items that could be used to make bombs, including PVC pipes and hot plates. The 6-inch high grass at his home also showed no signs of having been freshly mowed. So that was, and the lawnmower was in a nearby shed with no blood. Authorities.
Well, did he not think this was going to be investigated?
Right, he didn't really think all this through. It's although I got to give it to him, it is hard to come up with a decent excuse when you've just lost both of your hands. I mean,
Just say your oven blew up or something. I don't know.
Just say I was trying to make a bomb for fun, and don't say, maybe why. I guess you can't really make bombs for fun, though.
Well, one kid made a nuclear reactor in his backyard for fun.
Yeah, that's...
see?
The radioactive Boy Scout.
Kids these days.
Authorities found a crumpled letter in his home that discussed a suicide bomber walking through a shopping mall while concealing deadly weapons to target a stage of hot cheerleaders. I will not be afraid of the consequences, read the letter. No matter what, I will be heroic. I will make a statement like Elliot Rodgers did, he said to himself. Elliot Rodger, who killed 6 people and himself in the 2014 attack in Santa Barbara, left behind a manifesto that is frequently cited by incels or so-called involuntary celibate males who target women. When Green was confronted in the hospital by agents with the evidence they had uncovered, he continued to repeat his story about the lawnmower. He is currently facing 1 charge of lying to FBI agents. So there you go. I guess there's definitely a lesson to be learned there somewhere.
I'm sure there are quite a few.
At least there's a happy ending.
Well, yeah.
The cheerleaders didn't die? The hot cheerleaders?
Exactly. The hot cheerleaders remain. It seems to me it's like the one thing that everybody likes is hot cheerleaders. So why target them? Go after something else. But anyway, the bomb didn't work, and he blew off his hand.
Fucking idiot.
Let's all clap like he can no longer do.
And I... Exactly.
Stop it.
You're on fire, Louie.
I have a... All right, thank you. Well, now we're just showing off. I have a couple of important bee stories this week. Number one, man threatened to unleash riot control bees if protest became a riot. Thank you, Stacey. There's some bees for you, everybody. By the way, thank you for playing that. Stacey hates bees, so I appreciate you playing the bees.
The bees.
Not the bees.
Stacey doesn't like bees or spiders.
I'm okay. Spiders don't bother.
Spiders don't bother you as much? No. But all right. I know really she doesn't like bees. A Wisconsin man brought a dozen crates of bees to a protest and threatened to release them if the local protest descended into riots. Greg Hoft of Janesville brought 12 crates of bees towed on a trailer to a parking lot near the protest, which had about 100 people on Saturday. The riot control bees are in their holding yard waiting to clear the streets of Janesville and keep peace to this country. I'm willing to bring them in and kick them over if things get out of control, he said in a now protected Facebook post. Police learned of Hoft's backup plan and asked him to leave the area as they apparently had the event under control without the bees, according to the Gazette Extra. Concerned Americans like this are taking matters into their own hands because they don't trust law enforcement to quell the demonstrations. Luckily in Janesville, the riot control bees were apparently unnecessary. So
here's the problem, though.
Go ahead.
Bees don't discriminate.
Yeah.
They don't know that you're not the person they're supposed to attack.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's be real here. 10 crates of bees, as soon as he kicks that over, they're going to be pissed at him because he kicked it over. They're going to sting right through whatever suit he's wearing.
Exactly. He's the one that all
what
of their...
a fucker.
That all of their wrath will be... By the way, I forgot to find out where Janesville is, but it's probably exactly where you think it is.
Yeah.
If you released bees and someone was allergic to bees there and died,
then you would be.
Wouldn't you go to fucking jail?
Yeah.
Bee jail.
Yeah.
The bee go to jail. All right.
Everyone watch the Bee Movie.
Just questions that I have. Okay.
Send them to the bee electric chair.
Kate, as our murder expert, who would go to jail for that? Would the bee go to jail, or would the guy go to jail?
The bee, in fact, would not go to jail. The bee would most likely be dead, though, because bees do die when they sting you.
They leave their stinger behind, yeah.
The human would, in fact, go to jail for killing people.
The bee is just the murder. The bee is just the murder weapon, not the murderer.
Yep.
Also, we need bees. We should protect the bees. Yeah. This is bad on so many levels.
So the other bee story this week: a swarm of there's more bees. A swarm of nearly 40,000 bees attacked police responding to a single bee sting report.
They know what's up. They know what's up. The bees are on our side.
I was going to say that.
This is in Pasadena, California. They were responding to a report of a single bee sting, but their problem was about to get a whole lot worse. A group of police that were responding to a bee sting.
Why were the police responding to a bee sting?
I don't know. Were attacked Thursday afternoon by a swarm of nearly 40,000 Africanized bees. By the way, Africanized bees are the so-called killer bees that they warned us about in the late 70s.
Right. So the reason why the police were coming, because they called an ambulance, and then the firefighters and the police came together. So,
so the
fire department always comes with the ambulance.
Right. So
you don't need cops.
But they always.
I mean, this is just a whole other issue. Don't call the cops when you call an ambulance.
They're gonna shoot the bees.
Yeah, they didn't. The person who called the ambulance just called for an ambulance, and a lot of times, if a fire truck is called, like a fire vehicle is called, the police will show up.
Well, you're right. So here's what...
to clarify.
Here's what happened. 3 of the first responders were rushed to the hospital while the others quickly shut down the block. I've been with the fire department 18 years now and responded to several bee incidents. Pasadena Fire Department Public Information Officer Lisa Derderian told CNN, but never to this magnitude. The bees stung 7 people in total, but 2 of them didn't go to the hospital, the authorities said. No one got it worse than the first firefighter who arrived. The bees stung him 17 times.
Yeah.
That led the group
Holy shit!
That led the group to realize that the swarm of bees covered the entire block. The bees were very aggressive, Durdarian said. Somebody could have had an allergic reaction, and it could have been very serious or fatal. Firefighters and a professional beekeeper climbed a ladder to remove the hive, which was on the roof of a 4-story Hampton Inn. They even sprayed the bees with CO2 and foam extinguishers. Some of the bees were killed, while others left the area when the sun went down. The beekeeper safely removed the hive so that the bees could not return home. But the entire block was awash with angry bees stinging cops and firefighters.
What a sight.
So, in other animal news, a man is facing $7,300 fine for wrestling with a bear at a Polish zoo, and also breaking COVID-19 rules by not wearing a face mask while he was doing it.
Oh my god!
Wait, did he like jump into the pen?
He did. Let's dissect it.
He's like, I'm not afraid of COVID, and I'm not afraid of these bears.
A man has been fined for animal cruelty after he jumped into a bear enclosure at a Polish zoo and wrestled with one of the animals. The 23-year-old, who is thought to have been drunk at the time, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Drunk with power, definitely.
Right. Was filmed by baffled visitors at Warsaw Zoo, which had just reopened after Poland's coronavirus lockdown was eased. In the video, the unnamed man can be seen wandering around an artificial island while a large bear called Sabrina moves towards him. When the intruder spots the elderly circus bear, he panics and throws himself into the water surrounding the exhibit. At first, he tries to swim away from Sabrina, but the animal trots after him and then launches itself into the river as well. Now you know you got a problem. As the crowd watches on, the pair grapple and wrestle in the water for more than a minute. At one point, the man jumps on the bear's back while tightly holding on to its ears. Eventually, he pushes the bemused creature away before desperately scrabbling out of the water and climbing to the top of the artificial island. A spokesman for the zoo explained that the man was lucky only Sabrina was in the enclosure at the time. She used to belong to a circus and is accustomed to the presence of people, but she absolutely did not expect a human attack, said Anne Karazurska. Sabrina, an old bear who was attacked by an adult man, physically came out of this event unscathed, but she is very stressed. Had one of the zoo's younger and less docile bears had been present, the intruder could have suffered serious injuries, she added. No kidding.
Poor Sabrina. She went into retirement, and then some fucking drunk asshole is like wrestling her. How drunk do you have to be like, I'm gonna wrestle a fucking bear today?
Yeah,
I would have to say, not only drunk.
I was gonna say I've been drunk a lot, and that's never crossed my mind.
I mean, I think it crosses all of our minds, you know, even when you're sober. But I don't think anybody's dumb enough to do it.
Hold on, buddy. It doesn't cross everybody. Wrestling a bear does not cross everybody's mind.
No, it's.
I can say it's never crossed mine.
Not for 1 second have I thought, but this might be a good idea.
What Rui's thinking these days.
Yeah. Well, he's been locked up for a long time now, so
yeah,
anything goes. This one, by the way, this story, Stace, reminded me. It just seems like a Rui kind of story. Nude man allegedly spent an entire day destroying a Florida school.
What?
This has crossed my mind. This one I will cop to thinking about.
Define destroying.
A naked man broke into a locked Florida high school, apparently to... Thank you. That's how it sounded. Apparently to trash the building, causing $100,000 worth of damage during a 22-hour vandalism spree, police said.
He 22 hours?
22 hours? He was in the building for 22 hours.
22 hours.
Okay. That guy must have been on a lot of crystal meth.
Yeah,
there's no other way.
But also, where in Florida is this, Ken? I'm very curious.
Let me get to it. The mayhem began inside Miramar High School just before 8 a.m. on Memorial Day when the man busted in, and he spent an entire day wreaking havoc, police said. They don't know who he is yet. Identify him and you will be eligible for a reward up to $3,000. Surveillance footage from inside the public school, which is closed due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, showed the man still at the building at 6 a.m. Tuesday, police told the Miami Herald. The suspect, who appears to be wearing headphones in the photo released by the police, broke computers inside the school, put graffiti on the walls, and flooded sections of the building, police said. Damages were estimated at $100,000, school officials said. It is unclear if the suspect has any connection with the school. Investigators are looking into whether he's a former student, but they have been unable to confirm that. A spokesman told the Post early. So he just went and decided to spend a day destroying his old school, it sounds like.
Yeah, he had headphones on, so he was like, I think if any of us get the right music on, we're capable of destroying anything.
Right.
Do you think he was listening to like School's Out for Summer? Like just on repeat, like School's Out Forever, and just like trashing the place?
For sure.
For 22 hours.
I can relate, honestly.
I know you can relate, Rui.
Everybody wants to do it.
Yeah.
All right, Rui's getting wild today.
No, I think, especially anybody who's gone to Somerville High School knows we've all had that urge
to get naked and destroy the school.
Maybe not the naked part, but certainly the destroying part. I mean, there was literally a thing where kids just kept kicking the wall in this specific section. It got so bad they patched it up. Kids kicked it in again. Then they put up a steel plate in that area.
What is it about that section that people like to kick in? I don't. What's the story?
I don't know. People just decided, hey, let's just kick this one spot, and they did.
The kids are not all right.
And a kid, a freshman this year stole a sink. He just broke a sink off the wall and stole it.
How do you walk out with that? How do you...
I don't know. It just walked out with it.
Huh.
But what's
the point?
It just teenage vandalism is the point.
Yeah, and then the bathroom got flooded and the entire floor got flooded. But
I just got a couple more stories to tell you, and then we'll get to the movies. Ohioan, 50, arrested after calling 911 to report that her pussy was ablaze. There's some fire sound effects. Thank you, Stacey. An Ohio woman called 911 late Saturday evening to report that her pussy was on fire and that she needed someone from the fire department to put it out with their hose.
Oh, no.
According to an arrest report. After placing that emergency call, Katrina Morgan, 50, hung up the phone. When a police dispatcher called her back, Morgan reiterated that she required first responders to come put her pussy out because it's on fire. Oh, no!
That's one way to get a hot firefighters for your house.
Morgan appeared highly intoxicated when cops arrived at her friend's home in Port Clinton, a city on Lake Erie. Morgan smelled of booze and was having trouble walking and was slurring her speech, police noted. No pussies of any type were found ablaze inside the residence.
Did they check?
After struggling with officers, Morgan was handcuffed and placed in the rear of a police cruiser. She was booked into the Ottawa County Jail on multiple counts, including disrupting public service, a felony, and making false alarms and resisting arrest.
Wow.
Wait, but did you say that when they arrived at her friend's house?
Yeah, she was at her friend's house, crank calling.
Not even at home. Not even at home, crank calling the cops.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that at home. I'm going to go to my pal's house if I'm going to crank the cops.
That was a good one. Nothing good ever happens in Ohio.
Yeah, I know.
So that was nice.
Yeah, but sometimes it's comedically terrible.
Right. Florida woman arrested for hamburger battery.
What the hell is that?
Even in a country roiled by mayhem and disease, a Floridian will still find the time to assault someone with a hamburger, records show.
Kate, these are your people. And do you have any?
Yep. I mean, I want to hear the story first. I also am curious to know where the burger was from, because if it's Whataburger, this is a serious crime. If it's like Burger King, I don't care.
According to police, Tanya Codero, 47, was arrested Monday evening following a confrontation with her boyfriend in a Largo mobile home owned by the man's mother. Already, this just sounds like a terrible situation.
It's a home-cooked burger.
Codero and the 39-year-old victim have 4 children in common, according to an arrest affidavit, though a grandmother has full custody of the couple's offspring.
Probably a good idea.
Again, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. The confrontation between Cordero and her boyfriend was reportedly touched off when Cordero became upset when the man closed a window in her room. So, investigators allege Cordero smashed a hamburger in his face. When questioned by police, Cordero denied doing so, but her boyfriend still had hamburger in his ear upon arrival.
Who the fuck calls the cops over that?
Cordero,
Was it like frozen?
Cordero cops made a comment that she hoped he choked on the burger. Charged with domestic battery, a misdemeanor, Cordero was later released from the county jail on her own recognizance. So there you go. That's the things that's the other news that happened in the world this week. It's been really eventful.
There's something in the water in South Florida. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's wild out there. It's wild. By the way, in unnecessary sequel news, there's a remake of The Hunger in the works, starring Jennifer Lawrence. If anybody's looking for that.
Oh, that's a good movie. The original is a good movie.
What do you think about the idea of a sequel or of a reboot?
Same. I never feel good about reboots, so I don't feel very good about that either. Actually, you know what? I feel good about one reboot that's coming out.
Okay.
Soon.
Let's hear it.
Soonish. Okay.
Candyman, right.
I love what Jordan Peele does, so I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with that. I think it's probably going to be incredible.
Yeah,
Though Tony Todd was such a good Candyman.
I saw the trailer. It does look pretty good. All right, we're going to talk about some movies that we've seen lately. By the way, I review all the movies I watch over on Letterboxd, so go to letterboxd.com/sleazegrinder if you want to follow me. First of all, the film we were originally going to do today is You Should Have Left, starring Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried. And thank goodness we didn't, because it's terrible. Did anybody else watch
No.
You Should Have Left? Okay, just me. All right.
I'm too cheap.
I plan on watching it. I just haven't done it yet. But I do have things to say about it.
I plan on watching it too. I have it, but I haven't watched it. I didn't have time for that one.
Stacey, will you play the clip? This clip should sum it all up.
Let me know when you're done being an asshole.
Yes, exactly. That's zero likable characters. Like, everybody in the whole movie was just a terrible person, and there was no real story either. And it's one of those things where, you know, it's a house that you can't get out of kind of thing, you know. But I don't know. It just didn't work on any level. And they're charging $20 to watch it currently.
Yeah, that's a no.
So, have you heard the little controversy that's happening over this movie?
No, what is the controversy?
So, I only know because my brother's favorite book is House of Leaves by Mark, I can see it like Daniel Lewski, I don't know. But it's about a house, much like the house in this movie, and there's a scene where the main character like measures the outside of the house and the inside of the house, and they don't measure up.
Oh wow!
And he was not consulted on this movie. It's like a very it borrows a lot from this book, and he is very angry about it.
Wow, yeah, because that's one of the key scenes in that movie is when they're measuring the house and they can't figure out why it's bigger outside than it is inside. Interesting. So a little bit of a rip-off there. Anyway, it's lousy. It's lousy. I don't even understand how you can... I mean, Kevin Bacon should know... But does Kevin Bacon know when he's making a bad... I mean, he's made a lot of movies, so probably not.
Oof. Paying $20 to sit in your house and watch that, too.
Yeah, that would have been brutal.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Luckily...
Maybe just buy the book it's based on.
Luckily...
And usually I'm against reading, but...
Luckily, one of our friends found a found a way around the $20. So I got to see it for less than that, but still, still wasn't even worth the price that I paid for it.
Wait, nothing?
Which was their.
But it was free.
Don't tell anybody. But
an hour and a half of your life, you can't get that time back.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, at least it wasn't like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But Kate's right. We're not living forever, so we got to use our time wisely. All right, let's get to it. We're going to find out what people have seen this week. Lursa, who is in our car waiting for a tattoo, have you seen any horror or horror adjacent movies that you would like to talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
We actually, and when I say we, it's me and Jess, because it is what it is. We saw the Possession Experiment.
Okay.
And I'm torn because the storyline, I think, was really good. The effects were really, really good. But the acting was so fucking bad.
Okay.
Oh.
It was so bad. Like, everything was great except the actors. Which was really a shame because actually the actors had a lot to do of, like, if a movie is fucking good or not. And I don't know. I mean, if you're all for bad acting but really good effects, you can go and watch that one.
So, can you give us a little bit of what the plot is of the movie?
So this guy is in the beginning, there is like an exorcism going on, and it goes really bad. And the person that was possessed really didn't die, but killed everybody. And there was a baby in the scene. And then it's like 25 years later, and this guy, maybe less, maybe 20. This guy is taking a theology class, and they need to pick a project, like a final, project for the school, and he picks exorcisms. So his plan is that going to that house and get possessed by the devil, and then record this on maybe Zoom and have followers to see what the heck is happening with that. And it goes really wrong, of course, and then we discover that he was very susceptible for, getting possessed because he was actually the baby.
I was about to say, is he the baby?
He's a baby too. I mean, who the fuck does that shit? But yeah, he wanted to get possessed, and his class experiment, the practical part of the project was him getting possessed and recording it, and it went really bad. And yeah, he killed almost everybody, and that's pretty much it. He got possessed, and the acting was so bad that I lost track of it, and I don't honestly remember if he finally got, unpossessed or something like that. But he killed everybody. Oh no, now I remember. See, this is the problem with drugs. Now I remember what happened. He got killed in the end, but the girlfriend that he had was carrying Satan's baby because she got pregnant while he was possessed. So apparently there's going to be a sequel, but I haven't read. And they don't even have a Wikipedia page for this movie.
You should write them a letter and see if they'll get some better actors.
Okay, so wait, is this a recommendation?
I mean, I really recommend it because of if you can go past through the bad acting, the effects of the movie were really good. It was such a shame because it got me hooked, but then once he gets possessed, all the acting goes down the hill. Okay. Everything is good until he gets possessed, and then it's crap. But the effects were really good. That was Jessica saying too, oh my god, this movie with good acting. If they had really good actors in the movie, this would have been a really good hit.
All right, Stace, it sounds like it's getting a ding, I think. So give it a ding.
Okay. Have a ding.
That is a shame because, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good the effects are. It doesn't matter how good the cinematography is. If the actors are terrible, it just removes you from the entire experience,
Yeah. I I think they were doing great halfway through the movie, and they got tired. And they were like, oh, fuck this. Like, it's not that I hate the theater. It's going just straight to DVD or, like, I don't know, Amazon Prime, so fuck it. They got tired halfway through.
By the way, did you end up watching Antrim last week?
I did.
And what did you think?
I like it.
Okay.
I like it. And then after you told me that you and Rui were gonna dress up for Halloween,
yeah.
I could not unstop seeing that in the movie. So every time those guys came out, I just heard you and Rui running around. I'm like, oh my god, this is just fucking crazy.
Yeah,
you better hope it's a warm day on Halloween this year.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Can't wait for
It was really good. It got me like. It was confusing in the beginning with like, because I didn't want to like Wikipedia in the beginning to see what was going on. I didn't want to spoil it, but I got confused, and that's why I asked you, like, is this a documentary or this is a fucking movie? Like, what's going on? And I survived. I'm still alive. So
so far.
Yeah, so far. Maybe I'll die after the tattoo.
Very good. Kate, how about you?
I watched 2 movies this week.
Okay.
I watched Our House from 2018, which was more sad than scary for most of it. Basically, it follows this young adult who is in college researching some sort of magnetic electricity thing, and doesn't have much time for his parents or his 2 younger siblings, and because of that, basically inadvertently his parents end up dying in a car accident, so he is then thrust into the caretaker role for his little sister and his like middle school age brother, and he is like still tinkering with this electricity machine that he basically wants it to be this machine that will make it so you don't need like chargers or batteries, like everything will charge automatically all the time, and weird things start happening in the house when he brings it in and is working on it, and they think that by him using it, he's brought back their parents, and they can talk to their parents. The little girl starts talking to spirits. But of course, in any horror movie, once you open a door to the other side, anybody can come over, and it gets bad. It gets scary. They gotta fight some baddies.
Okay.
But it's a sad one, and it's not the best, but I recommend it if you're looking for a good watch of something a little different. And then I finally watched Train to Busan from 2016,
Great movie.
which I'd never seen before, and I am like a zombie movie fanatic. So that was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that, but also so sad. And I kept being like, man, are they going to do one more step? Is it just going to get sadder? And then it would get sadder. It's just, by the end of that, I was just done.
Yeah, that's a great one. Stacey and I saw that in the theater, and in fact, the sequel should be out soon, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't even know until I was telling my partner I was watching it, and he was like, "Oh, great! You just in time for the sequel," which looks entirely different from the first movie.
Yeah, but great choice. Train to Busan, excellent. If you haven't seen it, thank you, Kate. How about you, Rui? What do you got for us this week?
I've actually got 2 movies I want to talk about.
Okay, here we go.
The first one is Creep 2. I talked about Creep 1 last week.
So you had
Creep 2.
Move forward with the sequel.
Yeah, I was like iffy going into it because I'm always iffy about sequels, and it was the beginning. The setup is pretty much exactly the same as the first movie. You know, you have a videographer who is paid by this guy, same guy, to shoot a video of them for the whole day. So same setup. So I thought, oh, this is going to go exactly how it did last time. It does not. Like it has a lot of similar plot points, but the relationship between the 2 characters is completely different than the relationship with the killer and the first guy in the first movie. It shows like a completely different side of this guy. I highly recommend it.
Nice.
I mean, you could even watch it before watching the first one if you want. I mean, it would add some more mystery because it works as a standalone movie. It's not just a sequel. So I recommend it.
But you still get a creep though.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
As long as there's a creep, I'm in.
Yeah.
I hope there is. I mean, it's called creep.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say he's somewhat almost more creepy in this one. But then there is the second movie I want to talk about is Possum.
Possum. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have seen Possum, but it's very artsy.
Yeah.
Very like creepy. There's not so much like direct horrifying things, but it is very creepy. And so basically it follows a disgraced puppeteer who returns to his uncle's house.
A disgraced puppeteer. That's a very specific kind of disgrace, I think.
Definitely. And he came back there to destroy his terrifying looking spider puppet thing, which it's like, maybe, I don't know, if he's a child's puppeteer and he's got this abomination as a puppet, maybe that's why he's disgraced.
Yeah.
The thing is terrifying, but obviously not all is as it seems, and it's very cerebral. I recommend it.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that one, and I love puppets. I'm actually pretty bummed. Me and Ken were supposed to go to a puppet slam.
Yeah,
right before the pandemic hit, and we didn't get to go.
Don't worry, there'll be a puppet slam in our future. I'm sure of it.
Someday.
In fact, I have a puppet movie to talk about too. But first, let's get to Kelly. Kelly, what have you seen this week?
So I have two that I want to talk about.
Okay.
The first one is serious. Second one is a fun one.
Okay.
I watched Horror Noir, A History of Black Horror. It's a Shudder exclusive movie. It is phenomenal. So it traces the history of Black Americans in horror films from like the beginning of film until present day, and it's narrated by loads of directors and actors. Let me just name a few of them that have to do with the movie. You have Jordan Peele, which you all know is the director of like Get Out and Us and the Candyman coming up. Miosha Bean, the Tales from the Hood director. Rusty, I don't know, it's Condriff. I'm not really sure how to say his last name. Keith David from They Live and The Thing is in it. Tony Todd of Candyman. Kaylee Jo Munter, who's in Nightmare on Elm Street 5 and People Under the Stairs, and just like so many other amazing actors and directors. It is really, really just a phenomenal watch.
Awesome.
I mean, basically you just learn so much about the history, and it follows the evolution of Black actors from like playing extremely harmful stereotypes to tired tropes, and it gets into a lot of the Black exploitation films of like the 1970s. It's really good, and they talk a lot about George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, because I'm sure you all know that movie starred, like, it was like one of the first mainstream movies to have a lead Black actor in it that was not only the lead but the hero in the film. So I thought that was really incredible to hear everybody's take on that, because it's just so important, and everybody wants to see themselves in movies, and representation is just so important. And now in movies we see a lot more than a lot of these directors and actors did when they were growing up. So just highly recommend this movie. It's on Shudder. It's only like an hour and 23 minutes long. I learned so much from this movie for sure.
Horror Noir, everybody.
Yes, Horror Noir. I believe there's a book too that was maybe from like 2011 that you should check out too if you like that. Okay, a second movie I want to talk about is all right, so I did mention a couple episodes ago that I'm trying to watch all of Linnea Quigley's movies.
Right.
So this one is 1988 Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. I mean, what do you know what you're going to get with a title like that? Let's be honest. It's directed by Fred what the hell is his name?
Fred Olen Ray, right?
Yes,
Yep.
Fred Olin Ray. I can't read my own handwriting here. The tagline is "They charge an arm and a leg,"
Right.
which I liked. So it stars Jay Richardson, Gunnar Hansen, and Linnea Quigley. It follows a detective who was hired to find this runaway Samantha, who's played by Linnea Quigley, and he ends up finding her working at like a strip club that's run by Gunnar Hansen. Turns out Gunnar Hansen is also the leader of a ancient Egyptian chainsaw worshipping cult. Which, if you know who Gunnar Hansen is, he's the original Leatherface. Right. So it's pretty cool that he's like running this like cults that are like obsessed with chainsaws. If you like boobs and you like chainsaws, this movie is for you. Yeah. Highly recommend it. It's really fun. It's just like a B horror film with lots of 80s boobs and chainsaws.
And and Linnea does the dance of the ancient chainsaw cult, right? And
she has this snake, the snake drawn all around her. Yeah.
Right. Fantastic. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. And Kelly learned an important. She had what you call a Region 2 DVD, and and at first she was flummoxed. What do I do? It won't play on my DVD player. But it turns out you can play it on your PlayStation.
Which was fucked up because they actually, so I was trying to track this movie down. I really wanted to see it, and it's not available to stream anywhere. I couldn't even find it like on YouTube for free or anything. So I had to buy it, and I bought it off Amazon, but it turned out it was like shipping from overseas, which I didn't realize. And then I showed up at my house, and it was Region 2, which is, you know, for like, what is it? Europe and like part of
it's for England and Europe, I believe.
But you can change. So on your PlayStation, you can change regions, but they only allow you to do it 5 times.
So you just have to be really. You just have to be really judicious about what you watch.
Ken just told me to watch this movie 5 times, which is probably what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
And then throw out your PlayStation, I guess.
And then just buy a new one, and then you can watch 5 more times.
Seems like an expensive thing to do. All right.
By the way, Stace over there, you got anything you've seen this week that you want to talk about?
Yeah, the second season of The Order is on Netflix. And The Order is it's a series. And there was a really long time between seasons. So this is a story of a college student who joins Hermetic magic order, and of all the insane things that happen to him. And there's werewolves, and I can't really go into detail because if you want to watch it, I'll give everything away. But I can say that I wish that I would have maybe rewatched the first season or part of the first season before I started it, because they have the they do the recap at the beginning from first season, and it took me I was a very confusing recap. I was like, what? Okay. But you kind of remember as they start the first episode. So, but I enjoyed it. If you like Buffy or Sabrina or things like that, you probably like this show.
Fantastic. It's called The Order?
Yes.
Okay. The Order is some sort of magical cult of some kind? Okay. There you go. If you like werewolves, Stacy loves werewolves, so.
Me too, Stacy.
So if
you like werewolves and magic and demons and things like that, this is for you.
Excellent. So there you go, everybody. There's some picks from everybody else. I have a few that I would like to get through. One it's called Outbreak. No, it's called Outback. Sorry, from 2019. Outback, like in Australia. You know, Stace, in Australia,
like steakhouse.
Exactly.
Bloomin' onion.
2 American dummies go to Australia to backpack along the beaches. First problem is the guy proposes to the girl on the plane, and she says no. So they land. Ooh. So they land, and things aren't too good between the two of them as it is.
Question.
Yeah.
Before or after the trip started? Was that the beginning of the plane ride?
So when you first encounter them, they are in the air. They have landed and they are in the airport. Later on, there's a flashback to the proposal. But
so he did it like in the middle of.
He did it. He made a whole big thing about it involving the stewardesses and everything else. And
God.
And she said no. So now they're stuck in this miserable vacation. And you say, whose fault is it really? But anyway, the girl decides that she wants to go to the Outback instead of just going along the planned route that the guy had for them. Even though the guy points out like 500 times that they don't have GPS. She's like, you know what? I think it's a better idea. Let's just take the dirt roads and go to the Outback.
That's never a good idea.
And all along the way, like when they'd stop someplace, and they go, where are you going? They go, we're going to the Outback, and people would be like, well, good luck with that. So the whole time you're like, well, this is not going to work out. And sure enough, their car breaks down. They're in the middle of the desert. Just no food. There's no water. There's no cell phone service. And survival horror ensues. I don't know. I mean, I hated the both of them. I think you were meant to hate both of them, but I still kind of liked it because I really like survival horror. And if you read reviews of it, what a lot of people point out is like 45 minutes of the movie is. So the guy, and it's funny because we were talking about this on the show last week, I believe. So the guy, throughout the whole thing, he just wants to make sure that his girlfriend, who just spurned him, by the way, stays alive because he figures he's going to die from this thing, but maybe she can survive. So he pees in a bottle, and he gives her the bottle to drink. But she refuses to drink the bottle of pee. So 45 minutes of the movie is she going to drink the bottle of pee and survive or not? So that's a big part of it.
Well, I mean, if she can't drink his pee, then she couldn't marry him, right?
Exactly.
I guess.
And also, the guy, in order to survive, drinks windshield wiper fluid, and we find out whether that's something that you can actually do or not in this. In case
that doesn't seem.
It doesn't seem like something you can actually do.
It is liquid.
The forbidden
Let me take
Gatorade.
this giant bottle of poison because it's liquid.
Outback,
it'll
everybody.
definitely quench your thirst.
Yeah,
and you'll be relieved of thirst forever.
Outback 2019. Another one that I want to tell you about is called Deep Dark. And I feel like if I tell you what it's about, you probably won't believe me. But so a failed mobile artist. Like when you're in a crib, Stace, you have a mobile there.
Okay.
That's this guy's medium.
All right.
And he's
oddly specific.
He's a failure at it because who would want a mobile? He finds unbridled success when a hole in his studio wall starts spitting out little balls of flesh that high art buyers go nuts for on his mobiles. But when his fame takes off, the hole in the wall gets needier. But the hole in the wall has a female voice, by the way, but it's still just a hole in the wall.
What?
Eventually, he has to start fucking the hole, so it's like a glory hole kind of situation, and she gets very attached to him. And then his fame takes off, and he wants to go explore other things, and then the hole in the wall gets jealous, and then it turns into a hole.
How big is the hole in the wall?
It's just it's like a dick size.
Penis size?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't really know what's on the other side of the wall, but at one point the landlord sticks her eye into the wall to see what's going on the other side, and she gets bit. So there's something on the other side of the wall, but you never actually see what it is.
Sorry, boys, can't come out for a drink tonight. Got to go home to the old hole in the wall.
Right.
I've got to say, the glory days of cocaine in the writing room are clearly not gone.
Right. It's called Deep Dark. It's from 2015. I gotta say, it's a very unique experience in every way. It's like a killer glory hole movie. That's something I don't think any of us saw coming. One that I saw last night that I thought was really pretty great was called Kill Bird. A nature photographer gets stranded in the woods when her car dies. and she takes pictures of birds. The only help she can find is an isolated cabin deep in the woods. Inside that cabin is a very loony conspiracy theorist who naturally thinks that she's a spy, because why else would she be out there? And he holds her hostage. So that's the premise. But then the questions start to arise. Is he really a loony conspiracy theorist? Or does he really know what's going on? Is she really a nature photographer? Or is something going on with her, too? Tables turn like 10 times in this movie before the literally explosive finale. It's a tight, compact thriller, lots of twists and turns. I thought it was great. It's called Killbird. It's new. It's from 2019.
Killbird.
Yeah. Stace, you got to go kick the fridge back there because it's buzzing.
That was.
Yeah, the bottom fridge. If you kick it,
I know. I can't hear it in my headphones. So.
It'll stop buzzing. And the last one I wanted to tell you about is called, and this one I thought was great. It's called Judy and Punch. It's from 2019. It's an Australian film. It's
like the puppets?
Exactly like the puppets.
Oh!
It's 17th century England. A typical Punch and Judy performance, complete with a baby tossed out the window and Punch beating Judy to death with a stick, is played out in real life by a puppeteer named, you guessed it, Punch, and Judy is his wife. So you understand what I'm saying? They are the bottom one, Stace. You got it?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's on.
Okay.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay. So Punch and Judy are the husband and wife team who are doing Punch and Judy performances. And Punch accidentally, just like in one of the shows, accidentally throws the baby out the window, kills the baby. Panicked, he blames a kindly old couple for the death of his family because he also beat Judy to death. But when some magical children in the woods find Judy's corpse and revive it, the real revenge begins. This is a great movie. It's very stylish.
Oh, it sounds great.
It's very stylish. It's witty. It's outlandish. It's like half folk horror and half black comedy, and I just thought it was great. By the way, one of my fave facts in the world is that the actual puppeteer that invented Punch and Judy was named Senor Bologna. That was the guy's name. Isn't that great?
Where can we watch that?
It's on Amazon. Here's my fave line. I'm gonna play it for you. After Punch accidentally kills the baby and gives Judy, this is him giving Judy the news. Punch is played by Damon Herriman, who was Charlie Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was also Charlie Manson in Mindhunter. So he's typecast as Manson, but he's actually secretly Australian. Judy is Mia Wasikowska, who is a pretty well-known actress. Anyway, here he is. Stace, play the clip of him.
I sit her down in one place and turned for a moment, she'd have wound up in another. And you told me no boozing, but the dog stole my breakfast, and that Scaramouche made me have a tipple. He's like an evil wizard, that old man. I never trusted him. And anyway, I accidentally dropped the baby out the window. But what's done is done, and I suppose we just move on with our lives.
What's done is done. We're just gonna move on with our life.
That's the way.
Wow.
That's the way he broke the news. Very cavalier.
He sounded like he broke the blender or something.
Yeah. Oh, accidents happen.
Yeah, exactly.
How the fuck do you accidentally throw a baby out of a window?
Well, what happened is that the dog. He is right in that the dog stole his breakfast. The dog stole the sausages, and he was running off. So Punch was chasing the dog to get his breakfast back, and he tripped, and the baby flew out the window.
So he was chasing the dog with the baby in his arms?
Yeah, he was holding the baby and chasing the dog.
Well, that's a recipe for disaster.
But it's funny because it's also what happened is exactly what we were talking about last time. Is that that's obviously an accident, so he could just report that, but instead he goes and buries the baby in the woods, and then comes home, and then when Judy just asks him what's happening, again, he didn't kill anybody. It was an accident. He beats her to death, and then goes and buries her in the woods. I mean, he didn't have to do any of those things because the whole thing was an accident in the first place. Now, is it gonna be a problem in your marriage when you drop your baby out the window? Yes, of course it's going to be. But perhaps he could have worked it out with Judy. But
or at very least move on with his life, as he said.
Right. He took a completely different approach. Anyway, I love the movie. It was great. It's you can rent it on Amazon now, and I definitely recommend it. It's called Judy and Punch from 2019.
Nice.
Australian. All right, everybody. It's time for the best kill of the week.
That is gross.
All right, so let's find out what everybody's best kill of the week was. Hey, Kelly, what was your best kill of the week?
Definitely one of many of them, actually, in the Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Okay.
I mean, you just have like topless woman with a chainsaw making it seem like she's going to have sex with the guy, and then just digging into him, and blood is splattering. But I love the way that the blood splatter looks because they're showing, they're showing like her looking at her directly as she's digging into the guy, but like it looks like someone has like a squeeze bottle and it's just squeezing blood on her. It's so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's good.
Excellent. Larsa, what's the best kill of the week?
I think it's the best friend of that guy that got possessed. He was telling him, like, please, man, stop. Don't do this. Let's leave. And he was already possessed, of course.
Yeah.
So he punched him in the mouth, and the punch goes all the way through the back and, like, through the skull and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's great because you were such a bad actor, so it's good that you died.
Nice. the old punch right through the back of the head. How about Rui? What's the best kill, bud?
Really, the only kill I can talk about from either movie without spoiling it is there is it happens in like the first 5 minutes of Creep 2.
Okay.
You got the guy, the serial killer. He's been chatting up this guy, makes him think he's his friend, and then there's just a shot where you see the killer. He's holding a knife like right under the table, and if you watch Creep 1, you know what's gonna happen. But it's like it's just so fast. The dude whips out the knife and slits the guy's throat, and there's just a massive blood splatter on the wall. You're not ready for it, even though you see it coming.
Nice. All right, Kate.
I'm going to say there is a part in Train to Busan where they have gotten off of the train because they think that that's a good idea, and they're desperately trying to get back on as zombies are taking over the train platform. And there's like a glass overpass over the train, and all of the zombies are just piling up, and they push so hard that they just start falling over onto the platform and onto the train and attacking people. And that was really quite a visual.
That movie is a real nail biter too.
Oh yeah, from start to finish. I mean, like, you get a tiny bit of the narrative set up at the beginning, just so that you can feel even worse about what's about to happen to these characters. And then, yeah, through the whole thing, it does not relent. There's no part where you're like, it's going to be okay for these people.
The protagonists are in peril the entire time for that entire movie. It's incredible. So there you go. The best kill of the week for me might be a cheat because it's our group watch, but the invisible knife slashings in Invisible Man I thought were incredible.
Yeah, I definitely like really freaked out. I like jumped and screamed a little when she's with her sister at the restaurant. I really didn't see it coming.
And me neither.
And the reason is because we're about to talk about it in more depth. But the Invisible Man, unlike the original, there's nothing. The original, I think, this is also science. But anyway, it's. The science in this is near science. It's not far away, 100 years from now science. It's science from like 10 years away from now. And so you can imagine something like this really just happening. There being an invisibility suit where you could basically do whatever you want. including slashing people's throats without them knowing that you're even in the room. It's a very
so scary.
She did know because she made that face right before it happened, which was also just like, whew. When you just like see her looking over her shoulder, and you're like, what could she be looking at?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, let's get to it. This week's group watch is The Invisible Man. Here's the synopsis from IMDb. When Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her his fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by someone nobody can see. It stars Elizabeth Moss and was directed by Lee Whannell, who is an Australian director, who also did Upgrade, which I have not seen yet, but I heard that it was pretty good. He also wrote the film. But you know, it's interesting too that a guy wrote this film because it seems to really key into the anxieties that women experience on a daily basis, just dealing with the male population. You know. So,
yeah, I'm surprised a man wrote this too.
I could tell. I could really tell that a man wrote this.
Are you kidding? Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, also from I could tell that a man who is not really a trauma survivor wrote this.
Okay, all right. Well, that's interesting because I really felt like it gave me a new perspective. Maybe not a new perspective, but a perspective that I hadn't really considered before. You know, which is the perspective of a woman in an abusive relationship that she can't really figure out how to get out of safely. You know, because the horror aspect, the invisible aspect of this is almost just a metaphor, really. I mean, this is a story that plays out on a daily basis in probably a million different relationships every year. So it's just with an added layer of horror, given the sort of mad science to it. But it felt very real in that aspect. So let's talk about it. Go ahead, Kate. Tell me why that you think that.
I was getting super frustrated watching it at certain parts. I mean, it's probably small things that like non-trauma informed people might not pick up on, but she would just like do stuff, and I'd be like, "That's not what a trauma survivor would do."
Okay.
Like, she left herself open so many times. Like she would sit with her back exposed to things, and I was just like, no, in no world would she be able to do that with everything else going on. I mean, I think Elizabeth Moss did a tremendous job. I think the acting in this is really good. But I mean, just like someone who is so deeply traumatized from that sort of violence, who can't even walk to the mailbox, wouldn't have been able to do some of the things that she was doing, and definitely wouldn't respond in some of the ways she was responding. So I had difficulties with that. I'm trying to remember the specific instance that I wanted to bring up, and now I can't.
So in essence, what happens is that Elizabeth Moss, when the film begins, is she's in a relationship with a insanely wealthy technological entrepreneur who specializes in optics. That's all we really know about it. We know he has some kind of crazy lab. He has this really extravagant house. But as soon as the story opens, it's quite obvious that she has to get out of this relationship. She's trying to sneak out in the middle of the night and get away from him, and she escapes to her sisters. Not her sisters. I didn't really understand the relationship of where she was staying. She was staying with a guy and his daughter, and they were friends. Maybe they were just friends. Maybe I don't know.
They never explained that.
They never did. Yeah.
I think they were just friends, but this guy, like the husband, didn't know this friend because that's the reason she didn't stay with the sister, because the husband will know she will be there. So they put her in a friend's house, which was stupid, and that's why the sister in the beginning, like, I told you not to come here, because the sister was going to follow her.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were trying to hide her.
So so she's staying at, so it's like like a hunky. Is he a cop? It's like a hunky black.
Oh, he is a hot cop.
Right, hot.
He
cop.
is a hot cop.
He's a hot cop.
Super hot cop, and
like in Good Boy.
And then exactly, and then the teenage daughter, and they're trying to develop some sort of family life. She's obviously very traumatized from her experience, doesn't want to go outside, all this kind of stuff, and then starts noticing strange things, like things not being where they're supposed to be. And then the first inkling that she gets that something is really wrong is that the invisible man pulls the blanket off of them while they're asleep.
That was scary.
Well, there was also stuff before that, because like the stove going off, like you can see when she walks away from the stove, someone turns up the burner. And then there's also the very, very subtle, they share one bottle of wine and they both wake up very hungover the next day, and you're like, how are you guys so lightweight that you can't drink a bottle of wine? But then obviously that comes back later that they were probably drugged.
So it's little things that keep occurring that gradually build up to a bigger and bigger like horrible situation for this woman where and obviously the whole thing is on purpose, but it's meant to look like she's going insane because she's saying
he was like gaslighting her from like. I mean, he was supposed to be dead, so it was like gaslighting her from beyond the grave and like trying to isolate her and manipulate her as this like invisible man. And I personally thought it was done really well. I thought it was very scary. This is another movie where Jared fell asleep, or he left me to watch the rest of the movie by myself. So I was pretty scared watching this at night alone. I really liked it. I mean, my girlfriend, Elizabeth Moss, is in it, so that was exciting for me. She did a great job. I really like it.
Yeah, I it's funny because Kelly and I saw the trailer in the theater, and it
looked terrible.
And we thought it looked like garbage. And then when it was originally released in the theaters and the reviews started to come in, I was like, Kelly, it's got like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, and you're like, how is that possible? It looked terrible, but it's actually a really, really well done film, and again, like we were saying, scary. Rui, what did you think of Invisible Man?
I liked it. It took the idea of the original Invisible Man and just like it took that concept and actually said something with it. I think that's kind of a message that there's still all these old properties available.
Yeah.
You could do a lot with, but it shows like the Mummy sequel where they basically just tried to make the Mummy again.
Yeah.
But shittier. It shows that you can do a lot with these old horror properties, but you just got to be willing to try.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch the homage to the original Invisible Man in it?
No.
When they're in the hospital and she looks over and there's the like burn victim wrapped in gauze and all you can see is their eyes. That was good.
Yeah.
I liked that.
That was really good. I thought this was like Invisible Man, like smushed with Sleeping with the Enemy. Do you guys remember that movie with Julia Roberts?
Oh yeah,
That's a really good movie.
I thought of that. Yeah, I thought of that when she was in the house in the beginning, and the house is like so similar to that house, like in the beach, in the cliff.
Yeah,
like he's just giving me vibe of like Sleeping with the Enemy. And I said that movie, and my roommate, we're making our roommate watch all of these horror movies, and she hates horror movies, so it makes it even more fun.
Yeah, right.
And she had no clue about that movie, but it gave me those vibes too. The house was
cool.
It was also I felt like there's a little bit of a paranormal activity to the thing too, where you're just sort of like looking around the room at empty space. And, paranormal
waiting
activity,
for it to happen.
It's the same sort of thing. You're just waiting to see something when nothing's there, you know?
Makes you
The
paranoid.
cinematography of this movie was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like from the moment it starts, the shots make you so anxious. Like you're not even fully aware of what's going on, and then you're like, oh, she's escaping. And then the shots where it would just hold on empty space, even at the beginning. Oh, that was well done for sure.
Yeah.
And again, for me anyway, it just made me think about like, wow, it's sort of hard to be just to be a woman. I mean, you know.
Yes, Ken, it is
really, really hard.
You have to be literally afraid of 50% of the human race. I was thinking about it. I was just thinking about it this morning because I was like, at the end of the day, if I'm really, really bothered by a situation, I could just resort to violence. I mean, like, you know, that's somewhere deep within you. But, you know, as a woman, you can't do that. So what the fuck can you do? It's just like, it's just scary to think about. I think
I'm going to start carrying chainsaws on me.
That's a fair point. Like, they have those really tiny ones you could probably fit, I don't know, like, I mean, you could probably, there's ones that are small enough.
That is, to me, the horror of Invisible Man is that it's scary to be a woman. And I know that inwardly I sort of knew that anyway, but it just put it in really in stark, you know, contrast to me about what it's like to be in an abusive relationship that you can't get out of like that, you know. Horrible.
Terrible.
Great movie though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Highly recommend this one.
And and you can it's streaming everywhere now, and I highly recommend that you see it. And Rui's right. Like maybe now it means that we will see some like decent remakes of older films because apparently
let's hope
because Universal wants to do everything, right? They want to do new Frankensteins and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how all that goes. And that's it. That's this week's group watch. It's Stace. It's almost time to go. We just have to do the plugs now, if you can believe it.
Yep.
Plug music.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking for it.
Okay. Hey, do you think?
Do. Oh, sorry.
Do you think? I forgot to ask Lursa. Did you end up being the secret Hitler in your?
No, I never got to be Hitler.
Okay.
But they always thought I was a fascist because in the first round.
That's a sentence.
English is not my first language, so usually I stay very quiet in the first round because I want to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And then I start the second round. I start playing like in everything. I'm always afraid of not understanding because of the language barrier.
Right.
So I was very quiet on the first round, and they were saying like, "Oh, Lursa is a fascist." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm a liberal. Like, I'm a lesbian. I'm a liberal." And they said I was fucking kidding, but I was a liberal. So on the second round, they were like, "Oh, we thought you were like a fascist or Hitler because you kept quiet." I'm like, guys, English is not my first language. I just don't want to say something that can translate into something like offensive or something like that. I just want to be, smart about what I say and what I listen. So the second round, again, then I was way too vocal that I was not a fascist or Hitler.
Yeah.
So they kept saying that I was one, and I had to swear on my vajayjay that I wasn't one because they wouldn't believe me. Yeah, so I do all these games because I know the fans love it and they laugh a lot, especially because I smoke and then I get like crazy high, so
Sure.
They even enjoy it more.
Right.
But yeah, it was fun. I will play it again.
Okay,
I will
good.
play it again.
So do you have any other Survivor things coming up?
No, not this week. Not this week.
Okay, cool. Hey, Kate, how about you? You wanna sell some knives?
I always want to sell some knives. SpitehouseDesigns.com for knife earrings, knife necklaces, knife everything. I can't speak apparently. And then
knife.
Everything knife. And then also keep an eye out on a new page I started, which you can check out on Instagram, which is Lake Lacrymo Studio, because I'm going to be making some morbid candles. I made my first test candle.
Ooh.
Yay!
It's called Cyanide, and it smells like almonds.
Not like what you did there. Can you get something that smells like rotting flesh?
Like if I get like a durian essential oil.
Yeah, maybe that'll cover up the stench in my bathroom.
Oh boy, with a different stench.
Yes.
But wait a minute. Why? Do you think that would be a big seller, Kelly, to candles that smell like rotting flesh? I feel like...
I mean, there's got to be a market there.
I think
for
there's
that,
a market
for
for
somebody.
that. Yeah, I think
There's a
people
market
would
for
buy that.
everything.
I can't... And you got to leave them on the shelf waiting for somebody to buy them, and you have to smell the rotting... The whole thing, none of it works, Kelly.
Well, there's sweet smelling candles everywhere, Ken. Yeah, bring something different and fresh.
I get it. I see.
Well, rotting,
Candle
but...
making.
So you're
my
saying
plan.
You're saying most candles are pleasant.
Yeah.
So in order for Kate to stand out, she should go the
Yeah.
opposite route and make.
Yeah, I mean, like blood and guts could be like a scent.
Just like really
rotting. Yeah.
Do a
Smells like
blood one that
copper.
just smells like iron. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That
All right.
sounds like.
I mean, iron doesn't smell
that?
terrible.
Have you seen that episode of The Office that Jan starts making candles and she
That
has
is
to-
what I feel like. I'm having a real crisis. I'm like, oh, I am quarantined in my home alone making candles. Am I Jan? And I was doing it, and like I have to smell all these essential oils. And I was just like, oh no, I'm gonna be Jan.
Oh no.
Serenity by Jan.
But the first one you're saying has so far been a success.
Yeah, I made a cyanide candle, and I want them to all have unique colors. And cyanide, as a chemical compound, is bright blue.
Okay.
So I made this baby bright blue. It's pretty. It smells like almonds. I'm into it.
So cyanide.
Nice.
So what you're saying is cyanide smells like almonds.
Yeah. So if you ever smell kind of like a bitter almond smell in something that shouldn't have almonds in it, don't ingest that. That might be poison with cyanide.
Well, that's
Good to know.
That's good to know.
Good to know, yeah.
Hey.
So if Stacy ever brings you your morning cup of coffee,
Right.
and you get a hint of almond in there.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah,
I swear to God, it's just an almond flavor shot.
Ask some questions. A lot of times people will like report like something like in the Chicago Tylenol poisonings.
Yeah.
They said that there was kind of like a strange almond smell from one of the bottles of Tylenol, and it ended up being cyanide that the
Wow.
pills were laced with.
Interesting. All right, very good. By the way, Rui, you are cooking up a new segment for us, from what I heard.
That's right. Yeah. Still unnamed, but it's gonna be like the Murder Minute, except instead of murders, it's just spooky things like urban legends, like cryptids, aliens, anything I think would fit.
Fantastic.
I love that. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I got a lot of material to send your way then, right?
Yeah. The first one I'll be doing is on the corpse light of Cape Henlopen, Delaware.
Okay.
So
Can't wait for it.
yeah.
The corpse light, you say. All right. Well, very good. We'll all be looking forward to that. All right. Listen, everybody. You can go to our YouTube page to see our TV show, youtube.com/Heavy Leather Horror Show. You can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Heavy Leather Horror Show for news updates and for fun. And you can go to our IG for movie recommendations from the whole gang. And if you're interested in our previous show, Heavy Leather Topless Dance Party, well, you can find that and everything else at heavyleatherforever.com. You should also know that I have a music podcast with my buddy Swilson. It's called Advanced Demonology, and you can find that wherever podcasts are sold. I also want to remind you that we are part of the Campaneros radio network. www.gogocampaneros.com is their site, so you can check out Movie Melt, Get Soft, Songs on Trial, and now the Heavy Leather Horror Show podcast, all at Campaneros. And that's for us. That's it for us this week. I want to thank everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to stay spooky.
Trick or treat, bitch.
We gotta get out of here.